Thanks a lot to all of you. Good morning to all of you once again. A lot of distinguished guests here. Panjwani Saab has been here in the Gujarat area for a long time. Professor Rajshekhar Pillai from the academics, and Sangeeta Srivatsava and Prakash Raman and Mr. Vimal Shah, Vimal Sharma ji. So we have all these distinguished guests, and I'm very thankful to Indian Chemical News and Mr. Praveen Prashant for giving me this opportunity and privilege to be here to address all of you about this. Definitely the way the Gujarat, the subject topic is also like that how Gujarat and the chemical industry. Having worked here, I'm just going back into whatever the data that is being presented here is definitely a representation of the perspectives that we had and also the reality. If I go back to the early 80s when I passed out of chemical engineering, there was hardly, as from the down south, so there were hardly any industries there where a chemical engineer can get really employed. There were only two things that one can think about: either you get into an academics, or maybe there are one or two industries there, and if you are localized there, it may be easy or possible for you to survive. Or the only other industry, big industries which we are talking about, there were some public sector. Luckily, they have been doing national level recruitment through exams and all that. So that was one of the only opportunity that was left out for anybody to get into it. And in the petrochemical, that time, NOSIL was the only one which was having a small number of employees being recruited. Otherwise, the only belt that we had chemical industry was Vapi, Ankaleshwar, Surat belt, and mostly focusing on dye and pharma APIs and all that those days. And definitely if you go back, the perception of ability to work in such kind of an industry was very, very difficult. If you get into it, you may not be able to do the right job. And definitely the focus was for a chemical engineer either to get into a public sector. So that is how I ended up with, started my career with IPCL. Lucky enough to be there with them. And the petrochemical industry was one of them, one of the major ones all around India. And then subsequently the refineries. Refineries were also very limited. Now see the number of refineries that we have across Gujarat. Of course, Jamnagar is the biggest hub. We're almost equivalent to Asia's biggest refineries are there. And then 5 plus another Nayara, the whole thing put together. So the way, and then the chemical industry at the Dahej, the way it has expanded, and how, of course, there's a lot to be done, as all the distinguished speakers have spoken before me. There's a lot that we need to do on these fronts. I would just touch upon some of the topics that have been referred to. What are the challenges that we're going to face here in the chemical industry? Number one, in terms of the modernization or operations and the sustainability. And I'm glad to hear that there's a lot of work going on across. We also hear there's a lot of work going on. But whatever is going on is not enough. There is a lot more that we need to do, and a lot of groundwork needs to be done. A lot of interlinking needs to be established. One of the biggest challenges in many of these things that we have is a technology and then the integration. There are established industries, chemicals which are well known, like the petrochemicals, which have been there for the last 60, 70 years, or the refinery industry, wherein these are also more than 100-year-old industry, and the chemical process are got established, and then the understanding of the theory and then the practice have been got established, and the designs are become more robust. Even there was a lot of things that are not being utilized. If you think about it, in 80s, that was the time when we had a lot of gas from the ONGC, I would say Bombay High, where the gas is being taken from the ONGC, and there were a lot of things which are going to the flare. And even today, you say a flare, it pains us, because we are not able to utilize all the energy that is being generated. Okay, there is certain thing that we need to have for the safety purpose, but there is a lot of gas which is getting vented and burnt without utilization for a proper end use. And it is a waste, and also we are not able to conserve and then make the right technologies. And they have come in place now. A lot of integration has happened, with many of the refinery molecules and the petrochemical molecules, we are able to establish and integrate. Okay. Now, oil to chemical industry is one thing which is established. Earlier, oil to petrochemical, oil to oil, this is how it was, diesel or petrol, which was there. Now, oil to chemical has established, and that is becoming the biggest breakthrough for us. That's one. Second is on the bio-based. That is another big leap that we need to take up, leap. And on the bio-based, if you are able to do it, then we will be integrating and then making the technologies more valuable and gives us the real edge over the other countries or other industries. And so in the technology integration, though we talk about a lot of these things, absorption of the technology and also development. One of the biggest challenge in a chemical industry that we see, the big industries do have a capability to build a lot of utility structure for themselves, and then it becomes viable and viable for them to make it that way. Because the amount of energy that they are requiring, steam or the power, they're able to generate or able to source it in a way wherein they can do it in an efficient way. Where there are a lot of mid-scale industries or small-scale industries, it is not possible to get them, for them, a boiler, a small-size boiler or different pressures, and then make it get viable for that. If you want to do an effluent treatment plant in an efficient way, you need certain amount of steam in some process, but you do not have it. So what are the alternatives that you have? And you cannot do for a small stream, set up a boiler and then run it. So there's one thing that we miss here in any of the industrial hubs is integration of the utility structure, which is quite prominently available if you see in other countries, either Europe or China, wherever I've seen, that they have a network of this utility structure, especially the steam, nitrogen, all that. And they are able to utilize them. And that way it is easier for them to just buy as they require, and the networks are established. Here we are lucky, at least Dahej and some of the Surat area and even Hazira area, there are hubs wherein we can definitely build it. But there is definitely lack of focus and vision to do it in that way. Sometime back we tried, rather personally, even I was following up a lot on making ethylene and propylene as a pipeline structure that we have across chemical industry. Even that could not be possible because every industry has their own interests and they may not like to share. Because there are a lot of many products which are small scale and which require high purity, such product, ethylene and propylene, and it is not possible to transport them. And you would not be able to, and if you don't get them in the pipeline, it would not be efficient for them to work on it. So that is another reason why we cannot build certain products and certain processes are not getting matured. So these are the two major areas where we need to really look at. Third, luckily we have got certain clearances in the Dahej area, and I don't know, I think in Vizag, somewhere other place also they have given, the PESO has given clearances for chlorine transfer. Chlorine is also another molecule which it is produced, it has to be consumed. Okay, you cannot afford to store it, it cannot be done anything else, and it sells on a negative value. So how do you utilize it? Unless you have people who are going to utilize it in a regular way, it cannot be produced, and there are a lot of other products. It's a byproduct which is inevitable that you're going to produce in many of the processes. And many of the processes require small amount of chlorine. Okay, using that in a tonners is one way, but then it is not an economical thing for all along, and when you're trying to just upscale it. So there was a network clearance was given for the chlorine lines in the Dahej area by the PESO, but today, I don't think anybody is really thinking about establish such kind of a network and making an established utilization of that. Okay, similar thing like we see many other chemicals like that, wherein we are hazardous chemicals, where we do not have the right kind of a leverages to make it. This is one of the challenges to really make it at a state level, at this industry hub level, wherein we can have the networking of this kind of basic raw materials and chemicals where it can be utilized in an efficient way, effective way, so that it can be we can produce in a viable way. We think that the product costs are going up, and we'll get a value out of whatever investment that we do. But if you see historically, I mean, you are probably buying maybe 35, 40 years back, a Maruti car would have costed 2.5 lakhs, and probably, but that was several times, maybe, 30, 40 times, or maybe 100 times more than the salary that the people were earning in a month, or sometimes in any year. Whereas probably you can get a good, with the technology, the same car, and an average salary of a person, I'm just saying. Maybe it will come in a 3-4 times, okay? So it is 1/10 or even sometimes 1/100th, okay? And some of the products have been technologically being, you see the kind of way the electronic goods has been developing, and then the way the cost of production is coming down. So it is not possible that you establish an industry with a large-scale investment and think that you will get returns on that on an ongoing basis unless you become competitive in all respects. So this is one of the major manufacturing challenge that I would say that we are facing here. And also when it comes to the question of optimizing, and also how we are going to adapt the new technologies, the so-called whatever we talk about, the digitization, and also what AI tools that we have, and many other monitoring tools that we have. It's to build it again into a legacy existing chemical plant. It's a challenge in its own, because you have to really cater to it specific to that industry or that plant, and find proper solutions so that you can economically do it. You cannot completely, you have to do it in a running plant without shutting it down. That's one of the major questions that always come up when you want to do any kind of a upgradation. So how do you do it with a minimal, see, the downtime cost and the production loss cost is much more than probably the investment cost that you do it for the digitization job. So it's a challenge to optimize the downtime cost and see to it that how I'm going to do it in an existing running plant, and in a phased way, how we're going to implement it so that we integrate and get value out of it. So to demonstrate that ROI to an industry entrepreneur or the people who are establishing the industries is a challenge which each one of us as a chemical industry engineer has to really work on and find out viable solutions and find out smart ways where the ROI can be really obtained. That's the skill set that we need to really develop. Apart from the skill sets of just operating it, one of the skill sets is the ability to show and demonstrate to the management that across. One is to get the sensitivity with the kind of conversation that we had and the talks that people have given. The sustainability is not a giveaway today, and it has to be there as a part of our life. This is what, that sensitivity is one of the things. But sensitivity alone will not give us the ROI. We have to be able to convert it. One of the beautiful example Pajwani Saab has given is that converting that landfill sites into a solar panels where it can be installed and converted into it. So we need to find out utilization of all of them. Yes, it's a wastage of site. Even this is what exactly I hear from everybody. But without the landfill, there are no alternative that we are having available solutions. At a large scale level, this waste management is not even happening. So sustainability per se, it is not just about conservation of energy, reduction of waste is, of course, is a part of it. Also, whatever waste little bit that is getting generated, which is becoming inevitable today, how I am going to make it efficient as a team, as a group of industries here. We work on it and then make solutions possible, and as a all industry together, how we are going to utilize it in an efficient way. That's one of the major things that we need to work on. Now, coming to other aspects that we are talking about, the process safety is another major thing. Process safety is also a sustainability point of view and also environmental impact point of view. See, there are a lot of chemicals wherein you need to do, when you are operating the plants, it's just not possible that you have to decontaminate the equipment in a small way, in a small shutdown, and you have to operate them efficiently. And when you are decontaminating the equipment, there are a lot of things that are existing, may not be efficient ways of really removal it, and they may not have been built into the design. And for such small quantities to be evacuated in an efficient way, or scrubbed, or flared, or whichever way the mechanisms are there, okay, which you may use it once in a while, once in 6 months, once in 7 months. These are need to be built into the process upfront. But the value that you think that whatever you are investing on it will come back only when the time, and it's only for the sustainability purpose. It's only meant to make sure that your process is safe inherently and to build into it. So it's important to understand this need for this and see to it that these kind of things are incorporated at the design level and give value it and calculate the project costs including them. Normally we think about a viability without them and then say that, okay, let's push the product first of all, then we can do it as an add-on as we make the product. That's another challenge that we have, because when you do not have the right established technology, the product that you are going to develop, how far the customer is going to accept it and what is the quality kind of build that you have. Because not all products are very well established technologies or the quality criteria that are meeting. So to meet that, we need to also be very dynamic and understanding how we're going to do. And that is another opportunity that we have, that people can really put in a lot of value into how these technologies can become viable for such kind of scenarios. See, one of the, another big industry that is coming up across India, as you all know, is the semicon industry. And the semicon industry's requirements are a lot more stringent with respect to the quality. Otherwise, any of the semiconductor, any of the telephones or electronic goods will stop working because the kind of sizing that they are doing today. So earlier we used to talk about purities in, sometime back it was in percentages. Okay, now later it became ppms. Now it is ppb and ppb to ppt. Okay, sometimes in some of the you would not believe it probably, if it is not at ppb or ppt level, the industry is not ready to accept your product. To bring the quality or the purities to that level, it requires a lot of niche technologies and really to establish. And the quantities are very small for you to get the kind of return that you are talking about. But that is a need of the hour. If India is growing in a big way in this semicon, and we cannot continue to depend upon imports for this. And it's important that we focus a lot on this kind of technologies now. So this is another big industry that is coming up, both in the battery and also in the semicon. So and even to establish that this PPT level analysis to be done and to know that whatever process that you have developed, and that equipment also costs several crores. Okay, so we need to have some kind of a established methodologies wherein we have a pool of people, like the industry that they are doing it, and then academic, we are talking about the universities, maybe they can establish certain kind of a equipment which require. Some of them probably we were lucky enough because we were into some of the niche industries and we had to compete with the European and American market. We had to buy certain equipment which are very, very, very expensive just to make sure that the customer is getting the satisfaction that we are able to monitor. So every time you do a process change, you do not know the effect of it unless you are able to analyze it the right way. Okay, so it's important to understand that we are able to reach it to the right way. These are the various other challenges that we have in the case of modernization and the upgradation, or to meet the quality requirements of the new industries that are coming up. So gone are the days when we had certain purities and we can get away with. Today, we cannot survive without the kind of quality that is required. And as they are getting available from other places, definitely we need to make sure that we are there. And with the, way back in 1970s, 80s, we had this polyolefin industries coming up a lot. And we had a lot of polyolefin industries which have been say polyethylenes, polypropylene, HDPE, which we are seeing today. They have become now household goods and we find them utilized everywhere, right? So initially, most of the industry did not know how to utilize them. There was a big industry which were making them, manufacturing them, but the process were not able to really run the mission, run the material in their missions, how to make effective products and all that. But it has matured in such a way, you will be surprised sometimes. Some grades in polyolefin you develop that you think that they will be meant for certain applications, and with certain combination, the process are now able to utilize what you think may not be a good one is converted into a very good one, and then the process are able to utilize. That is the level of maturity that it has come. And today, industry has become very good in that, and then that is the reason why the polyolefin industries, products have become cheaper and viable for us. Same way, now as we are going into the semicon and all that, and also many of the solar, battery and everything, it's fluoropolymers, wherein it became a big role, okay. Earlier, chlorine chemistry, hydrogenation, all these were the one of the things, or the bromine. Now the fluorine has become one of the another chemistry that is going to be making a big significant shift into the way of working that we have. And India has not really built a lot. I'm working with now GFL, so GFL has got a lot of fluoropolymers industries which we are producing, and we are able to export them. This is going for a lot of niche applications apart from this. So India all the more requires this kind of a chemistry, this kind of products now, whether it is a PVDF which is going for that, or the PTFE, or the PFA, and many other such kind of a products which are going to be into this. And there are a lot of environmental and registration requirements that are coming up across globe on these products, and also the whatever quality we are talking about, whatever are they talk about the PFAS substances and other things which are to be at PPB level. So these restrictions are also changing day by day. Every 5 months, 6 months, there are some of the industry, they are thinking that should we continue it or not, the production, if they have to make the levels at which they want the regulatory compliances to be made. So these are all the various things that I would challenge that we face. So just to summarize, we are talking about the utilities, how we can network it and do it, and also see certain key chemicals which are required for various production of whether it's a pharma or agri or for the semicon industry. We need to look at networking of some of these hazardous chemicals which can be transported through a pipeline in a small areas, or which can be easily made available without the risk of having the transporting for a long distances. This is another area where we need to continue to focus upon. And of course, on the process safety and the design, wherein we're going to incorporate a lot of these inputs and thinking process upfront, and ability to develop high quality products into in our industry. So these are the various areas that I think we need to focus as an industry here. And definitely Gujarat is growing, and the way that is a way forward I see for the Gujarat, if you want to kind of vision that we are envisaging. So I'm hoping to see that kind of a thing, and the kind of collaborative work we do with academics and the industry, and also the customers themselves who are going to utilize it. That is the kind of work that we need to do and make that collaborative effort, which is voiced by most of the people, echoed by the speakers earlier. So that is the kind of work that we need to continue to do. I wish all the best for this Vikasit Gujarat and Vikasit Bharat. So Jai Hind to all.